right. Hello again, everyone. This is day 2 of our 4-day series, kind of like 201 level, where we will eventually go into more 301 level and edits on the 4th day, hopefully. So as a quick reminder, if you have any questions at all while we're doing this, feel free to unmute, talk. You can raise your hand. I'll call on you if you want to do it that way. You can just put it in chat, whatever works for you. Only rule I have is if you have some background noise, please mute yourself after you're done asking your question so it doesn't interfere with anything. Let me catch up on chat real quick. Somebody just asked something.
No, man, and that's a mouse in a church?
So
Pumpkin.
for Canvas, I think it's best to outline in Canvas if you have portions of your outline already, because Canvas allows you to fill in those individual boxes versus if you're trying to generate an outline inside Story Bible, it generates the whole thing. Canvas, you have a little bit more control. So that's when I always recommend using Canvas to outline. And even then, if I do outline in Canvas, most of the time I will just take that outline, put it into Brain Dump, and then kind of go from there on fleshing out everything within each box as normal. So I don't just take my Canvas outline and drop it straight into the outline box in Story Bible. I would put it in Brain Dump, start my story as normal, refining all the boxes, or I would take it into ChatGPT and, flesh out anything I needed to before bringing it into Brain Dump. All righty. So we're going to do a quick recap, and I will share this document again at the end of class as I update some things. So I did want to go over some notes. So I am showing y'all all of my process, right? I'm not leaving anything out. I did forget something the other day, actually, but we'll go actually going to do it today. So I'm showing y'all my steps, but obviously I'm not spending the amount of time that I would. Like I said in yesterday's class, normally I spend a couple of hours on my Brain Dump at Synopsis. It is nothing for me to spend all day, more than one day, inside ChatGPT, fleshing everything out, how my characters are and things like that. I'm not going to make y'all sit through it. So these are just some notes so y'all would actually know where I would focus on. Again, I would spend more time in ChatGPT. These are some of the issues with the story that I didn't like. But since I didn't have an idea, I wasn't going to make y'all sit through that. But that is something I would actually fix before I started writing this story, is figuring out these details, making sure I liked everything. Again, I would spend all that time on Brain Dump and Synopsis doing these changes. And my character box needs some refinement. Go back over here. Just so that doesn't bother anybody. There we go. I was looking for the word black, but it wasn't there. I did go ahead and copy over the characters for y'all. This ChatGPT conversation is fixing to not work anymore. But once we get more information in there, I will copy the new link to y'all. So let's just do a recap real quick. We went into ChatGPT with our story premise right here. Fleshed things out pretty well. Got our overarching genre and style words. And then generated synopsis and our characters. And this issue I'm running into with the characters, of course, is the character box is pretty maxed out. But as you can see, I only have the 4 protagonists, essentially. Our antagonist is actually listed as a minor character, and there's not enough room for me to give him this kind of description, which I would normally do. So I would be spending time within this box trying to get that to work for me. And this is one of those instances where people will a lot of times take out characters that don't belong in a scene. Except in this instance, those 4 major characters are essentially in the story together. So there's a good chance they're going to be in all of the scenes together, at least a good majority. So that's not an ideal thing to do. Just have to take out 1 or 2 right there. My other option would be to remove some of this, which again could cause some issues. So hopefully they do expand that character box soon. I used to actually never run into this problem. And then as I worked on having more details, asking for more things with my character descriptions, now, of course, I have that problem. Go ahead, Manal.
Someone is asking if they can use hyphens in the character box.
Sorry, let me turn this off. That way it's not in my way. You can, but I don't recommend it because of the way the AI works with the tokens. If it was just a few words, I would say, yeah, I would put the hyphen here and just in a couple of little spots that really didn't make a difference, Put hyphens there. But I need more than just a few words. So the hyphens won't really help. I have overloaded Story Engine before with hyphens. Like I said, I think I did. It's in another story on my other account, but I just had so many words within I'm not gonna lie, I think my style box looked pretty much like this or very close to it, but just a bunch of hyphens. And according to the style box, I only had like 27 words in there. So you can't overdo it. I don't recommend
Did it work?
That's the story I generated all at once. I put like the whole outline beats in the beat box and just generated all at once. And I haven't even gone and edited it yet. So I have no clue. I was just having fun doing it that way. So, all right. We are to the outline and a little recent update. They got it done. Whenever we got the Story Bible interface, it stopped telling us which outline we were on. And now it'll tell us right there under it. So we are going to generate the outline. I'm just trying to think. I'm going to go ahead and generate. So I'm using Hero's Journey because that fits, of course. And again, I do have that prompt and synopsis for my outline format. So that should give me correct. Yep, it's doing it. I'm going to show y'all, let's see, 3 ChatGPT prompts. One requires, again, back and forth, but I'm not going to do that because I think y'all have all gotten the idea of what I tend to do. If y'all have any concerns, just, ask. But I always just kind of do that back and forth with chat, asking for its suggestions, letting it know what I like or dislike. Yes, it is nice. I love it. There's a little glitch they're working out right now where I don't know if y'all noticed in the class the other day, I couldn't actually click into these very easy. It was just shifting slightly. But once they get that bug fixed again, you can just like click to genre and go straight there. I love it.
So these are the prompts you added in synopsis or?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. The one that they gave me. This one right here, this portion that tells it how I want everything.
Yeah, those were in the handouts in the one-on-one class. I think.
If it was my one-on-one class. Yeah. All right. So, all right, it finished. Let me sound like a broken record here. Of course, we will go through and edit this to our liking. But for right now, I'm just going to jump over to ChatGPT real quick to show y'all what I do. So I want to edit this or copy this. I'm going to say, here's my young adult fantasy story outline. How can we make this stronger? I'm going to let y'all see the output, but we're not going to, spend that time going back and forth. unless for some whatever reason a lot of people wanted us to do that. And then I will show you my 2 other prompts. Let me grab them real quick. Oh, I like that. Getting tragic. All right, so just again gives you ideas, and I could decide if I wanted to use any of these or if I had any other ideas with this one. So we should have actually had that in there because I really like that. Just reading through real quick. Yes, this is true. I'm going to try something here. This might not work, but I actually like all of these, so I'm going to tell it I like all of these. Please rewrite my outline. No. Please write an extended synopsis to include this information. This thing out of my way. Include this new information and then rewrite my outline following the original formatting. Let's see if that'll actually work, because there were some questions in there that gave options. It might not work. So what's everybody working on while this is happening? Are y'all going to keep following along? Are more people doing their own little story, getting the hang of everything?
I'm working on my beats while listening to you go
Awesome.
through your stuff.
I'm just going to copy this real quick, make sure.
I'm just following you too.
Oh, it didn't put my day and time format in there, which is no big deal. In this case, I would prompt it. You didn't put the day and time like my original outline has, so I would just tell it to rewrite and include those things. Again, I'm not going to mess with that. I'll put that in the notes so y'all know. Just trying to keep track of everything for y'all. I know it gets annoying when we say, oh, if I was really doing this. Let's see. It doesn't. So I think Notion is having some issues because while I was logging on, I was noticing I wasn't getting, like, now it's showing up here, but at first it wasn't giving me the subpage options. And I did notice I had 2 docs. I've deleted one now. So I will, let me see. Okay, there we go.
Did you see the
Got it.
message that day 4 summary doesn't have duplicate enabled?
That's what I had. That's what I just did right there. Yes, ma'am. I think, did I just do that? Might have clicked the wrong thing. Yeah. Okay. I just did that. What was I doing now? And hey, Miss Lynn, I didn't see you hop on. Let me go ahead and share this link.
There.
So one thing to do, like I said, I will keep filling this out as we do go through class. So instead of, if you just duplicate this now, you're not going to get any additional information that I add. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But if you just save the link and open it up, like say in your browser, and then towards the end of class, you just click that refresh button, it'll bring in all of the new information that we do in this class. And then you can duplicate it and have everything. Okay, so I put what I would do here. Copied my synopsis, I believe, didn't I? Might not have. And since I already have my formats and everything correct, I'm going to delete those. Nope. That is not the synopsis. And I will give y'all that new one. Y'all may very well hear my stomach start growling through the microphone soon. I kind of forgot to eat today. Right, I'm going to grab the outline. I actually didn't even check to see if it put that stuff in there. So do that. I'm going to prompt to generate another thing, and then I'll fix this spacing because that's not right. All right. So another thing I would do, you know how I started the conversation asking ChatGPT if it was familiar with, young adult fantasy, which of course it is. And then I asked it for the elements that are normally included, and it gave me that list of elements. One thing I normally do around that time is I also ask it for dialogue and narrative styles. Now that I have all of this information, I have to make sure I word it in a way that it doesn't just give me stuff that's appropriate for this one or that it thinks is appropriate for this one, because I want to get as much as possible for my own ideas. So I'm going to say, what are the dialogue styles and narrative styles used in young adult fantasy novels? Okay, and it just gives us some stuff here. So this gives me some ideas, just maybe some things I might not have thought of, some wording that I didn't otherwise think of to use.
How do you condense that to 40 words?
Well, this is like this is the things that are, prevalent in young adult fantasy. So for the 40 words, you would want to, first of all, just make sure everything fits for your individual story. This should be all encompassing. And I normally follow it up. Let me go ahead and put this in there. Again, just remember, you can always do a follow-up prompt. Are there more? But this is what I'm actually going to use. What I just asked is for me to have ideas and knowledge. This is actually what I'm going to use for my style and genre. So I'm giving it this template. And I told it, I'm going to give you my novel outline. Please fill out the following genre and style template for each chapter. Complete this template for all chapters of the outline. Here's the outline. I can tell you right now, it's more than likely not going to give me all the chapters at once. It's going to say something along the lines of, due to the depth or whatever of this, I'm going to give you a couple or something along those lines. And then I will just prompt it as needed to do the chapters that it did not do. Oh, I'm going to copy this. How is my outline only? That doesn't seem right. Only 400 something words. And this is why you read through and check everything. But maybe with this one, it might actually do all the chapters. So then I just copy in my outline with it. And so now, of course, I've already had the conversation with it, making sure it's aware of those narrative and dialogue styles that go with the genre that this story is in. It knows the elements and, all of that is in this conversation already. So it has all of that information. And now it's just giving me everything that's appropriate. Still need to do the validation, to make sure, do I actually want all of these in whatever chapter this is? Chapter 2. So only put in stuff that you're certain about, that you want in your story. I was doing a good job going through. No. Okay, yeah, so it said for the first 4 chapters. I'm just going to tell it, yes, please. And I will copy this. I'm going to make a document here. And that's where I'll start pasting everything. I actually have a Notion document too, where I can store all of this information. Like I can store everything here within my genre and style boxes and inside each chapter. So I know that chapter 1 has whatever for the style box and everything, just a quick way to jump into things. So play around, incorporate some other tools for organization and see what you like. So I have this in there. I'm going to just clean this up a bit. And I will also put it. Oh, I don't have the outline. Let me grab the outline for y'all. This is the bad thing, is so much of the formatting kind of gets thrown off. You gotta fix that. Very tedious.
That's happened to mine too. It started giving like little phrases, and each phrase is on a separate line.
So it's in Act 2. And I'm going to tell it yes to continue. I'll copy these over. Do we need to clean up? What do you mean by clean up the entire outline? Like if you just want to pants, go for it. I mean, let it generate some stuff. You don't need to do all this. This is just my process to show y'all how I start trying to really get everything nailed down. But the main thing about your outline is just making sure you have the characters, the character names, try to avoid the pronouns, make sure you have all your main plot points and that everything's happening in order that you want it to happen. If you don't want to flesh everything out, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Do what works for you. Oops.
Nicole,
Uh-huh.
do you find that every time, like I noticed that outlines are very, very, like 14 chapters, you got to kind of stretch them. If you want a full-size novel, say like 90,000 words. I just find that they're, like that one just gave you 14. Mine came out to be like 21.
Yeah, so I don't worry about how many chapters it gives me. I'm just worried about how good those chapters are. That's it. How clean.
Yeah, that too. It was like, I just like, I don't know. I always like keep my chapters around 3,000 to 4,000 words each, and it's just a thing that I started years ago, and it's like I stayed with it for some reason. It's my thing.
So I noticed for me, like when it used to default to the 12 chapters normally.
Yeah.
I've forgotten where I was. Sorry, y'all. Chapter 8.
I'm sorry I disturbed you.
It's okay. I just need a refresher. When it had those 12 default chapters, and I did my story just doing that. I didn't worry about asking for more chapters, anything like that. By the time I was done editing, I had 30 something chapters just because of the way I like to edit, because I like short chapters as a reader. So I brought that over into my writing. So all of those chapters, ended up turning into 2 or 3 chapters themselves.
Oh, cool.
My initial projects have seemed pretty short. Like I'm struggling to make a novel out of it. Does that make sense?
So is it just not having enough information? Like, do your chapters feel kind of thin as far as not enough action, not enough depth and stuff?
Yeah, I'd say that's true. So
I would check your synopsis and stuff, make sure it's still included all of your details. And then I would try bringing it into chat, seeing if, it has some extra plot points that it could add or ways to make it stronger. And don't forget, if y'all know for a fact that y'all need a certain amount of chapters, y'all can always put that here in your genre box. You can tell it to write 15 chapters or whatever number of chapters you wanted, and it will do that for you.
Okay.
I think with like young adult, shorter chapters kind of make for faster action and moving the story ahead. So yeah, the small chapters make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I just like them as a reader.
Me too. I have the attention span of a Reese's monkey, so
I will actually, stop reading a novel if there's so many pages in a chapter. I can't do it. To me, it starts dragging out, it seems. Let me make sure I got everything. I do see the question in chat. Let me just make sure I got everything for y'all real quick. I'm just going to paste, in case anybody wants it, I'm going to paste all of this into the Notion.
Nicole, how many pages are in your chapters?
Not that,
or words. I'm sorry, words are in your chapter.
I don't know. I switch my chapters when there's a good pause.
Okay.
That's all I'm worried about. I don't care how many chapters I start with in my book. I don't care about how many words are in it. I just, start going through edits and deciding, okay, this would be a good pause right here and a good time to switch things up.
Okay.
Okay, where are we at? So I've shown you how to ask for narrative and dialogue styles. You could also do that again if you wanted to refine it for this story, saying, hey, for this story, what are some good narrative or dialogue styles you could have? So there was the question, what if we already know the beginning and ending of the story? So if I knew the beginning and ending, so if I'm doing my regular stories where I know exactly how I want it to play out, I just put everything in that brain dump. That's why I usually max stuff out. My brain dump is typically maxed out with just me stating every single thing that I know about my story. A lot of times it'll even have my lines of dialogue here if I know there's certain phrases or things I want them to say at certain times. So yeah, I just put it in there and work with the synopsis and go back and forth refining those two. That way they're in line. Yes, Notion, there is a paid Notion account, but there's also a free. I don't use the paid one, I just use the free one. So what you mean is, can we just have 2 chapters in the outline? Yeah, you don't have to put your entire outline in here at all. In fact, especially if you're doing this, I know this isn't the case for you because you said you're a pantser, but for people that have lengthy chapters, especially for like epic fantasy and stuff, they start running out of room. So a lot of them will either just put like act 1 or, just a chapter at a time to work on for the cleanliness of it. Like they don't want all of this. If they're working on chapter 4, they don't want to see all this other stuff. So they'll just have chapter 4 here. The thing to remember is what you need to do. You actually don't need this anymore. You need to follow the formatting. So you do have to have that act 1. Okay. It doesn't matter if you're on act 4 and only working in those chapters. You're going to need your act 1 here. That's kind of starts off the formatting. And you also need to keep these numbers. You don't have to have the words here in each chapter, but you need these numbers because if you don't, let's just say you're in act 3, chapter 15, I can't do the math in my head, but let's just say you're in act 3, chapter 15. I need act 1 starting up here. You can put the other acts. It doesn't really matter on those, but you need that act 1. And then I would actually need to have chapter 1 through 14 before I got to that chapter 15. If I just put chapter 15 right here, whenever I go to generate to add that document and tell it, to add right here, if I only have chapter 15 at the front, it's going to still label it as chapter 1. So just to avoid any confusion, it's best to keep those in order that way. Yeah, if you only want 1 or 2 in here, work with that at a time. There's nothing wrong with it. All right. Let's see. All right, we got all of our chapters. Make sure I didn't forget anything. All right, let's start generating. Actually, before we generate, let's find the one that has the most action. Start there. Or at least one where I would have some good ideas for y'all. See, it's kind of a big jump right here. In doing this one, I would actually put another scene in between because it goes from, the event happening, them receiving their gifts, and then some training. I would want some emotional stuff in there. This actually looks out of order because we have their first meeting right here, but it's the one that sounds good. Chapter 7 and 8 actually sounds really good. bet this was a flashback. That's what it was meant to be, a flashback, and put it right here. Right, chapter 11. Let's check out this stuff right here and chapter 12 and see what we can do. So the videos will be in the Slack channel, the course videos channel. So before I generate my beats for, what chapters did I say? Chapter 11 and 12. Before I generate the beats, I want to make sure my genre and style boxes reflect what I need for that chapter. I might have a trope or some things or something up here that doesn't apply to the chapter I'm fixing to work on. And definitely you want to change up your style. You know, a chapter with a battle scene isn't going to have the same style words and all that as your, say, your prophecy chapter. So make sure you change these up. I said chapter 11 and 12. So I'm going to go look up chapter 11 over here. And this is just how I start doing it. I will jump to that chapter and see which words I want to use. So we're going to keep fantasy, adventure. Let's see how many words this is. 28, perfect. With my genre. And then I will paste those in. And of course you could take these out. And then I'll do the same thing for the style box. Yeah, my Google Docs are a mess. Like if y'all saw them, it goes on forever and ever. So I'm not sure what you mean about the sync. So I was just pasting my stuff from here and from GPT into the Notion doc, so that y'all would have it. Let's see, third person. I don't want alternating perspectives, and I know I want third person anyway, so I'm not going to bother copying that. I'll take these. I'm going to leave. We're fixing to get to the rebellion, so I'm actually going to leave that right there too. I could do 6 more words if I wanted. Let's see if there's anything good grabbing our attention. I'll go ahead and do this just because it sounds good. Right. So the template, again, just helps me really focus. Otherwise, I tend to start putting the same kind of words and there's not a lot of variety because I honestly just can't think of those. You know, I'm focused on my story details and I can get hung up on these, again, just repeating myself over and over. So that's why I like to use chat with that little template, and it kind of covers all the bases. And now we will generate beats for chapter 11. Also keep in mind, before I generate beats, I can actually go into my outline and have a little focus in square brackets or something. You know, if this was like I know the next chapter 12 is a battle scene, so I could actually put in square brackets, focus on the battle and make it gruesome, something like that. And that kind of helps a little bit. And if you're in the Discord channel, the Discord server, the videos will be in that one too. But let me know if you need the link for either of them. And this is a new thing, a little tutorial. I don't know if it's like that on Story Engine right now. This is something that they've just started releasing, a little tutorial for y'all. Y'all are going to get to play. It's going to feel like brand new whenever y'all get into here. Not so sure about this. So this makes me wonder. You there, Miss Lynn? I don't think she's there.
I'm here. I'm here.
So I'm curious about this. I would like to hear your thoughts for them.
What?
Okay, so when we generate, before we generate prose, like when we click that button to generate prose, it reads all of the beats. They confirm that. It reads all of the beats before it starts generating prose.
Right.
So what good is it telling it to transition to the next chapter?
It's not.
Because you're in it,
I would take 14 and 15 and make them part of the header.
yeah. And that's normally what a lot of us do, y'all. But so I'm curious, it just makes me start thinking about what other kind of ways can I maybe start prompting it or something, because to me, it doesn't make sense to have this one in the chapter with a cliffhanger and then your next beat is transition to the next chapter. If this was,
because the next silo won't know anything about it. So
if this was strictly a style beat, those are really good for the headers. But this is, asking for.
yeah, that's it's not going to do anything.
I am going to go ahead and cut this.
And it's using words.
Yeah, it's using words.
Let me see how it starts. Okay, they arrive. Sholina, Ilar, and Sir Cedric strategizing. This one might if I have the words to play, I would actually play around with this beat right here, beat 13, to try that as a header as well as trying it a beat. Because if I did this as a header, I believe that would be a heavy focus of doubt, suspicions, and them strategizing throughout the whole scene, which might be really good for adding in that extra tension. All right, I'm going to take these, cut them, and put them in a header.
Probably in the header of the next chapter, you may want to put the ending bit of this chapter so that we'll know how to smoothly go to the next one.
Yeah, that's what some people do, is they'll put that little summary after they have this. In this header, they'll put in previous chapter or something like that, and they'll put a little summary of what happened.
Or just put the cliffhanger bit.
I typically don't do all that. I just, try to make sure my beats kind of flow together. So if, it ended one way here in this beat, but in the previous chapter, I'll try to pick up from there. And then sometimes I find I just need to write a transition chapter to kind of help things out. So, okay, so we're asking here in the header in the chapter with a cliffhanger. I forgot to, for some reason, that just made me realize, oh no, I did put it. Sorry, y'all. I thought I forgot to put my third person past tense because I used to put that in my header. It made me think of it. Okay, so in the chapter with a cliffhanger, hinting at the imminent danger. Transition to the next chapter. I'm just going to take this off and say maintain the tense and mysterious tone established, because they're arriving at it. So I'm just going to have it carry that over. Obviously, you can just generate right here. And let's actually, I'm going to try out fastest with this one. I'm hoping it has a lot of dialogue. Fastest typically gives me the most dialogue. Let's see how it goes. Oh, it helps if you click it. Oh, couldn't help but feel right off the bat. Don't like this at all. And that's why too, a lot of times, especially my dark romance novels, you'll see me put an extensive header to add some additional tone and everything. I'm just going to come up here. I'm not liking that, so I'm not even going to bother waiting for it. I want to copy these beats and do a new document. And this is how I've been doing things lately. I broke it. Turn it off. Well, this is how I've been doing things lately. If I don't have a good idea for the scene. I'll start playing with each beat now and actually using the rewrite and describe stuff, all of that. We have to stipulate the structure. So you have to tell it, whether you're in Story Bible or Story Engine, you have to have this number 1 if you have a header, no matter which one you're in. It doesn't matter what numbers are here. You can put whatever numbers you wanted. They don't matter. What matters is this carriage return. So you need this number 1 because it's telling the AI everything before it's a header, everything after it is beats. And of course, y'all could add some, not necessarily a beat header, but essentially the same thing. It's just inside the beat. You could do that in individual beats too, and do your guardrails, focuses, all of that. So there, once you start playing around with this, once you're comfortable with all of the basic stuff, you can really start refining it. And yes, it takes forever. If you spend all that time, trying to refine your header, going into all of your beats saying, oh, I want you to focus on this for this beat, and I want you to focus on this for this particular beat. Yes, it takes a lot of time, but it ends up resulting in better prose for you in the long run and less editing later. So again, it comes down to, do you want to put in that effort now, or do you want to put in that effort editing later? All right, so they arrive at Greyfell Fortress, a massive stone structure. So I'm actually going to use the describe for this one. I leave all my stuff on right here, but you can turn them off. But I like seeing what it does. Can you take the beats over to, yeah, you can definitely do that. There's actually, let me give y'all this because I don't think I gave y'all that. This, okay, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this might be out of date. Copy it. But this was a community doc I made, God, not long after I started Story Engine, and then everybody else in the community just started adding their tips and everything. So you have everything that's in here isn't just what I think. You have Ash's stuff. You have a lot of stuff from Mindy. I believe Miss Lynn has added things. There's all kind of stuff in here that the community just got together and put all these tips together for y'all. Don't be mad as if you go to use something and it doesn't work. Like I said, this was done a long time ago. But there is, I need to put these links at the top apparently. This is what I mean. I think something's wrong with Notion because it's only showing me this. It's not showing me my normal things. No. Where's it? Prompts for ChatGPT. Nope. Okay, here we go. So in the Beat It section of that document I just linked, did I actually link it or did I just copy it? I just copied it, didn't I?
Yeah, don't have the link.
Every once in a while, y'all have to get on my case and yell at me, y'all. Sorry. So in that doc, if you go to the Beat It thing, this is what I'm showing y'all now. And this one isn't as great. This one really doesn't work now because of the new formatting. But when the chapters were side by side, it was very easy to generate 2 sets of beats for the same chapter and then mix and match them. I liked doing that, but it's too much of a hassle for me right now. But these have prompts that you can actually take your beats, and I've also just taken my chapter summary instead of my beats and asked ChatGPT to expand that. You can use any of these prompts, play around with them, see which ones you like. I'm going to, did I answer the question? Yeah, okay. So I had it describe this. Yes, Mana. So it's a massive stone structure site. Greyfell Fortress is made of stone, arranged in a strange pattern. Dark sky is reflected on the surface of the stone. Is it just me, or is everything so telly lately? Like the last few days of me generating prose, everything sounds very, very, very telly.
I'm kind of blinded by the imagery of it all. It's good,
definitely
like
have it.
you can cut things out.
You should write a very different way of generating things in the last couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. The man is tall with thin lips and a long nose. He wears a black robe and cape. Something's not right with this.
Even the prose, you get some very
That sounded
bizarre
horrible.
stuff going on.
Yeah. So I'm just going to combine this one. Describe the imposing nature. Hopefully best prose won't let me down. Find these. So again, remember, somebody had asked earlier about doing too much. That's something you kind of have to figure out for yourself. How much is too much? How little is too little? But for me, I just focus on how much action is in the beat. You know, what is it asking them to do? If you have a whole lot of action, that doesn't work well. If you overload this too much, which I have done, and like I said, I've had beats be this or more. And of course, all the pros did was tell me word for word what was in my beats because it didn't have any room to play essentially. But play around with it and you'll start to kind of understand that nice little middle ground. And like I said, best prose works really well if as long as you're open to ideas and stuff, just giving it the bare minimum and letting it fill in the holes for you. So it brings them to a secluded chamber. I mean, they're very action oriented until you start getting down here. But so you see this right here. This is one beat, beat 5. He brings them to a chamber where they discuss their plans away from prying eyes. That's one like I would feel would be on the edge. There's a chance it could be too little. There's, you know, I don't know. If it's too little, it could result in looping. But since this one ties in, how many do we have? 1, 2. So these two are going to be together. I'm just grouping them in strides real quick so I can see. So this one, I think this one will be good together. I'm just not seeing any that I could rewrite very well. I'm going to pick this one. And we're going to go to rewrite. Let's expand it. And then I'll rewrite it to see the difference. So you could, I stopped using the show not tell because it really just never seemed to make a difference. This might be a case because again, our prompts, every time they change something, there's a good chance our prompts no longer work and we have to reword them. So it may be that now all of a sudden that show not tell wording starts working really well. I need to try to include it again and see how it does. As a matter of fact, for the little test, we'll do that here in just a minute. Okay, so I just expanded this last beat. Hearts pounding in anticipation. I just don't understand. I'm not liking any of this. So let's rewrite. Let's try show not tell right here. Bye, Alex. Have a good one. Thank you for coming. I like both of these actually. And I think I could actually use both of these. Keep in mind, I have this highlighted right now. So if I click insert, it's going to replace that. If I wanted to keep this in there and just insert it after, I would put make sure my mouse cursor was afterward, but I don't mind replacing that. And then I'm going to put this one in after it. Again, you don't even have to have the numbers after that one. I can just get rid of it because that carriage return lets it know it's another beat. So the majority of the time, if I'm using rewrite for these beats, I'm using more descriptive or show not tell, and then occasionally like one of the others. So I'm just going to do show not tell for these real quick. And for this one, I'm actually going to insert it afterwards. So it has that little introduction of what he's doing firsthand. Guess I'll just do show not tell for all of them. I don't know.
I just ported my my prose to what was it, like sent a document, and it sent it into a document you know, outside of Story Engine, and it doesn't have any like breaks or anything like that. Is there anything I can do to improve that?
You click the send to doc button, you said?
Yeah, sent to doc.
Okay, that's a bug that needs to be reported. So if like I do my manual copy paste, you know, where I highlight stuff and copy it, and then I have to do the shift control paste to make sure it does the little spaces. Otherwise, it does put it all as one giant paragraph.
Okay.
That's another bug they've been working on, but they needed people to chime in like with specifics. Where were they copying from? What were they copying to? So yeah, they
Okay.
need to know that it was the send to doc thing doing that.
Okay. I'll look into how to do that.
If you'd like, you can just post it in the Slack for feedback, or if you're in the Discord channel, you can post it there. Just so
I'm not on, okay, I'm not on either. Is there,
Oh, okay.
I don't know, is one better than the other? I could do either.
Well, they're doing away with Slack. Oh, so actually, I'm
Oh,
fixing to
okay.
link you here, but I have to grab the Discord one for you.
Okay, I'll hop into Discord. You log, oh, stupid thing.
I can't hear anything. Can you hear me?
I can hear
No?
you. I was just testing mine.
I can hear
Oh,
you. It
good.
has gotten very quiet.
They look
Okay, all
really
right, I
worried
thought I
because
hit a
she's not
button.
talking anymore.
Okay, thank you.
She's concentrating. We should probably put some spooky music in the same time. Nicole, you still talking or you're just very, very quiet?
You might not be able to hear us.
We can't hear you,
Mike?
Nicole.
Her mic is not mute though. Hang on.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yes, now we can
Oh.
hear you.
I don't know
Yes,
what the
now I
deal
can.
was. My microphone just suddenly stopped working. I don't know. Did y'all hear what I said about days 3 and 4?
Nope.
No.
No,
Wow, I wonder what all you did here. Okay.
we were just watching you work.
So I was saying I don't know if I'm even going to be able to stretch this out into 4 days because so like for day 3 I was planning on refining stuff, like seeing what's wrong, what we need to fix, and then going into some edits for y'all. And I was hoping y'all would have some like questions and everything, maybe needed some help with your actual stories that you're working on. So that's the plan for the next 2 days. So I see we are at time. So I wanted to go over that real quick. So revising and editing. Here, okay.
The good thing is, even though we couldn't hear you, we could see what you're doing.
Hey, great. All right, so let's see if Best Pros did any better. See, that's something I would definitely have to revise because I'm not liking dialogue from him. So in this instance, I would actually go into his character box. I would see what it says for his speaking and dialogue style. I would copy that into ChatGPT. Actually, he doesn't have a speaking and dialogue style because he's a minor character. So that's something I would need to fix is his dialogue. I don't like it. So in this instance, since he's a minor character, I would just edit it myself. That's the easiest way.
Well, when you fix it yourself for future chapters, will it remember his voice? Or do you just have to do them
It
every
won't,
time
but
you
when
go
I
over
say
them?
fix it myself, I just mean during my edits. I would just change his dialogue there. It would be faster for me to do it that way, just change things up, his wording in my edits, than to, take time to try to figure out, get his dialogue style down. And then of course, because he's a minor character and my character box is full, I can't add that hefty description for him. So just in the matter of my workflow, it'd be easier for me to just put it in my edits and do it myself. So even here, Best Pros is better, but it's not doing the normal output that I like from it. Yeah, I'm not liking any of this. Can't scroll up. I can't get the mouse thing. Come on. I have to use my mouse scroller, my scroll wheel. That sucks.
You can't just tap it at the top and it'll come.
No, it's not letting me. Oh. Aren't y'all glad y'all don't have it yet? And we are the ones that get to mess with all these bugs.
It's another bug, huh?
They were just working on this, the scrolling issue. So yeah, that played around with it in some kind of way.
So do you think that the generate, when it's generating these prose, you've tried two and you didn't like either one? You think there's a bug for that? That,
I think either the LLMs are off or, so, I mean, they do have their days or they're just awful. Either that or something's going on the back end with maybe some prompting. Because like I said, it's been the last few days I've noticed this. Even Weaver, which I normally love Weaver's output because I've played with it directly and it's not doing the same. As a matter of fact, let's try it. Let's try most accurate. Maybe, just maybe, since I don't normally like it, I'll like it for this one. And I'm just going to let it do the first 4 and then try Weaver. All right. Well, most accurate is actually the best so far on this one. I normally don't care for it, but it's better. Yeah, I definitely like this one better. Let me do Weaver real quick. I'm just going to do it in another document so I can compare them all later. I'm going to leave all the beats in there, but I've discovered Weaver really does best with just minimal beats. So I've just been leaving like 4 of them in, but I'm going to pause it anyways. Oh, go Weaver, go. Let's see how it does. So I thought, if you look in the ambassador's mirror code, it did say, I thought he said they had it fixed to where if you scrolled away from it, like it would start, oh, the way I understood it, it starts auto scrolling, but if you scroll away from it, it stops. But like right now, hang on, I'm waiting for this so I can pause it. So like right now, I actually cannot use my mouse and click to go up and down. I have to use my scroll wheel, which I don't like to use because it's slower. But I can't scroll up and down just clicking and going up or down. So I have to show that to him.
Today I had it start jumping up and down when it gets to about 5, 6.
And this is just a Weaver thing because Weaver is a role play model. So you see the prompt leakage come through from it right here. And in this instance, I would actually wonder if it's just prompt leakage, no other thing, or if maybe this meant I didn't have enough for it. I don't know. We're still learning Weaver. All right, it's done. So let's see. Okay, that's better. What do y'all think? Just looking at these opening paragraphs, I'll go through them all. So this is Weaver. Rayfell Fortress loomed over the horizon like a grim sentinel. Yeah, I like this much better.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, so this was Weaver. I honestly, I don't remember what all these were, y'all. Sorry. Let's see. This one was most accurate. That's the good thing too. So y'all know how in Story Engine, if you do a second model, all the things show the same model name. In Story Bible, it actually shows you which one. As long as you have them in different documents like this, it'll show you which one was used. Okay, so this is the beginning of most accurate. I do like this one. You know, this line right here, just this place has been my home for many years. I like that for some reason. Okay, so that's most accurate. And this one, that was me playing with the beats. This one is best prose, which I did not like and I normally do. I don't know, that's a good, I actually had chat tell me something about copyright the other day too. When I was trying to find out if it knew about anything, about something, is like, yes, I'm aware of that, but I can't do anything with copyright. I'm like, I don't want you to do anything with copyright. So maybe it's with all the stuff going on there. Yeah, something's getting reinforced on their ends. Right, and this was, oh, I thought we did one with fastest.
You did.
Oh, that's right. It was under, okay. Wait, I got this wrong. This one started in fastest. Yeah, so this one's fastest. I thought it was best prose. And then best prose. Sorry for the scrolling, y'all. Look away, Miracle, look away. Okay, and then this starts best prose. So yeah, Weaver to me did the best out of them. I'm not sure if y'all have any opinions. I mean, I could see a couple of good things in each one, but the majority of it I was actually not happy with, except for Weaver. But yeah, David, I'm winding down. We're almost an hour and a half again. So do y'all have any questions on, good, y'all like Weaver too? Means I'm not crazy. Yay. Does anybody have any questions on what we covered today? Let me make sure y'all got the updated stuff. Get this chat link. Delete the old one. I have the chat link somewhere. There we go. Okay. Characters, I wanted to clean some stuff up for you, but I'll do that before class tomorrow. Okay, every time you ask it to rewrite prose, you're charged for every word that gets generated. So you mean like whenever I did the, are you talking about whenever I did the cards, like that cards that popped up on the side? Okay, yeah. So you're charged for all of those words that pop up in the cards, regardless of if you use them or not. And that's why you can come to this drop down up here by the right thing, go to your right settings, and you can control how many cards pop up and how many words are in each card. You know, change that to help you if you need to limit it or anything. And if this is showing where you can't drop down or anything, just, you need like 20 words usually here to activate it. I have noticed it wouldn't even let me do the drop down before. Like how you see it right here. Can't see how I can't do the drop down because I don't have 12 or more words before the cursor. So just, even if you type in a bunch of gibberish, just have 12 words and then you can actually activate it. All righty, y'all. Thank y'all very much for attending with me again tonight. Like I said, days 3 and 4, I don't know, that I definitely don't see them being an hour and a half long like these last two were. We'll focus on looking where prose failed on us, what's wrong, seeing how we can start refining things to get them more in line with our vision. And then I will show y'all how I edit stuff.
You got a second, Nicole?
I sure do.
Yeah, I'm just So yeah, I'm really new. People got to understand that. I hope. When you talk about Story Weaver and things like that, are you talking about the pros or like
The Weaver is this
the
unfiltered
unfiltered
model.
is unfiltered? Yeah, that's what I thought. I just didn't
Mhm.
recognize Weaver. So
It's brand new. They just released it. We've been testing it. I don't even know if we've been testing it a week, maybe a week or 2 weeks. And then they just released it to everybody.
so
So
it's
Weaver,
basically it writes like I talk. It just I let it all spill out and
yeah,
and
it
live with the
doesn't care about any,
consequences.
yeah, it doesn't care about anything.
Only if you talk in chunks of 400 words.
We did
Oh,
a,
believe and all of them
um,
are profanities.
we did a story synopsis in class the other day for a killer clown. You know, he shows up he's at a birthday party, and I didn't prompt it to do it. But I mean, again, Weaver likes to tell its own story. So within this story, you know, it's at a birthday party with a bunch of kids. It decides the clown needs to go in and start killing the toddlers. You know, and it just talks about, oh, he came out from behind the tree with the boy's limp body in his hands and the bloody knife. It doesn't care. It does not have a care in the world about
It sounds
it.
like it's really good for like if you've got a very heavy action type scene and you're willing to put in the parameters for it
Mm-hmm.
to kind
So
of hold it back.
yeah,
It might move things faster.
I normally do that for Fastest because Fastest reads amazing normally. I love it for fight scenes, or even if the opposite, if I have a slow scene that I'm worried might bore people, I like to use Fastest. It just has a very good paced feel to it whenever you read it normally.
Which
Yeah.
is each one again? Unfiltered is Weaver.
Unfiltered
Best Prose
Weaver.
is Claude, I think you said.
Mm-hmm. And most accurate is GPT-4. Fastest is GPT 3.5 Turbo, which is
Okay.
dialogue focused. So that's normally why it gives us the most dialogue. Like I said, it's been off a little bit lately, but one thing too about Weaver, again, keep in mind, however you're used to doing your beats and your chapter summaries and everything else, when it comes time to use Weaver and you start playing around with it, keep in mind you're going to have to experiment. Because I found, again, I played with it outside of Sudowrite. I've used it directly through Open Router and stuff. And I loved its normal style output. I didn't give it any guidance whatsoever, and I loved its output. That's why I really, pushed to have this one and told them, hey, this is my favorite. I think people are going to love this. The thing is, they have to do prompting on their end to get it incorporated into Sudowrite. And as of right now, they're still playing around with all the parameters and the prompting because we're noticing some issues and they're trying to get it in line. As y'all saw today, it actually did pretty good. But the only tips I can give you right now is, in my experience so far, if I were just now playing around with it and it didn't give me what I want for Weaver, I would actually remove everything from my style, but say my tense and POV, that's it. And then try it again and just kind of layer in some things. Because I have found a couple of times it did better with an empty style box or nearly empty style box. Just because this is just my opinion. Its natural output is really good. It's close, very close to the way that I normally write anyways. So it didn't need all that extra stuff from me. And there are times like in this one, we do have a lot in the style box. And I thought it did good. Wasn't quite at the level, but it was pretty good. So keep that in mind. You might want to empty your style box. I would just leave this, starting out and kind of layer things in. The other two things I have noticed is if I have a lengthy chapter summary, it tends to go off rails more, and especially the more beats you have in the box. So what I've been doing is I will actually generate all the beats, but I will cut out 5 through whatever was generated, set those aside in a blank document and save them for later. And I will just run those first 4, and then I could add in those other beats about 4 at a time and run it. Otherwise, it'll start just going off the rails. Trust me, if y'all think Claude goes off the rails with Best Prose, you haven't seen anything yet until you watch Weaver do it. He puts Claude to shame. Adding element, it's in, okay, yeah, it's the new thing. Let me link it. Let me refresh just to make sure. There you go. That's the new doc, and it is somewhere in here. At the bottom of the story starter prompts page is the chat conversation. Do you have Chat GPT? Like, do you need the
Sorry, I've
question?
been answering your questions. I forgot to turn on my microphone. Yeah, I do have
Okay.
the ChatGPT. Uh, that or it'll link me through Bing, one of the two. It doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Yeah, so it's there at the bottom of the story starter prompt page, the whole chat now. I had to delete the original link because as you add to the chat, the original link only goes, backwards from whatever I generated the link. So now y'all have all of the current stuff that we did today as well. And I will go through this tomorrow before class just to kind of clean it up and make sure I have everything that we discussed. So this is the one that you're talking about right here. What are some elements that need to be in that genre? There you go. And then this is what we did today.
In other words, you've already written the outline for the most part, but you think it's missing some additional things that can get added into it that make sense in the frame of the story. Like I'm actually using your prompts in GTP. It's just some ways, somehow, when you phrase a certain question, which you seem to do here, it helped.
Okay, so this was the dialogue styles and narrative. Okay, I think you meant this one. And this is actually something I do a couple of times. I learned this from Miracle to how to make it stronger. So yeah, I just
Absolutely that one, yes.
Okay, here we go. Other things you could ask it, and I've done it at the same time, I don't bother trying to make a bunch of little, I don't send a bunch of messages. I try to include as much as I can in that one without getting too hefty with it, as long as it's only focusing kind of on one thing. So I might say in this one, here's my young adult fantasy story outline. How can we make this stronger? And what additional plot points can we add for, if you have a certain aspect you want to focus on, you can say that, or you can just say, I would like to add some more plot points for Act 3. You can get specific or broad with it.
That's great. So it's in the link. So
Yes, sir.
perfect. Thank you. That was a great thing tonight.
All righty, thank you. Do we have any other questions? I am going to go ahead and stop the recording.